Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and welcome back to episode 425 of the Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the update into what's been going on in my survival world, and indeed in Life the Universe, and everything in between over the past week. And in today's episode, I'm going to be trying, there's going to be a big emphasis on the word trying apparently, I'm going to be trying to go back at least a little bit to the older format of the Let's Plays. Somehow we did like an extra special, like, oh, this Let's Play's 40 minutes, and then an extra special, oh, this Let's Play's 50 minutes, and without even trying, we've been stuck at the 40 or 50 minute mark for quite some time. And you know what, if everything's special, I feel like there's this real problem where nothing's special. So in today's video, I'm going to be working on the giant old sheep farm thing that never came to fruition that I decided to cover up in stone instead. If you haven't seen it, then that's good. That's exactly what I want. So in today's video, we're going to be finishing the cover up job, and we're going to be doing so using some stone that I recently found while looking in some chests, because last week we had a big charge creeper explosion. It was terrible. It's entirely remodeled this mountain over here, which is arguably a good thing in some ways, but as a result, I was looking around these chests and I noticed that in one of them we have a bunch of stone. I've used up most of the stone in my world for the stone covered forest thing. Look, I've got a lot of silly projects. That's just what happens in this channel. That shouldn't be news to you by now, but basically the thing I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be covering the sheep farm up. First though, I'm going to fix my axe because that's required for a lot of the different projects I'm working on right now, and then I'm also going to go into the laggiest part of my world. It's going to hurt in about 3 seconds, and there we go. Oh, that was pretty fast actually. And we're going to take this map out of the frame because I feel like, you know what, here's the thing about cover-up jobs, right? If you just cover something in stone, if you just make something hidden, as I'm hopefully doing right now in a very slow fashion, but if you just kind of hide something, if you cover it in stone, it does cause some curiosities about what's hidden below. Today, I wanted to talk at least a little bit about how to truly hide something, as well as maybe why you shouldn't truly hide something. But I feel like if I'm going to be, making some changes, it'd be kind of cool to have the map in my left hand, so you can see every single block that I place. It should start to update this map that's on my left, although I don't have a hand right now, apparently. I've just got a floating map in front of my face. And if that's not the dream, I don't know what is. So yeah, what you should start to see happen as I cover these blocks up is on the left-hand side there. Yeah, you can see, yeah, it makes a very subtle difference each time, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So my basic plan here is to talk about cover-ups. By the way, oh my god, when my hand moves, the map doesn't move with it. This is really strange. 1.13 is a very buggy update. If you don't already know that, then hopefully this video isn't your first introduction. There are so many things that are weird and wrong and that, like, makes it a bit uncomfortable and also broken as a whole, and one of those is apparently the left-hand slot in Minecraft, which I'm really excited to see when they do eventually update that and bring like proper left-hand functionality into all Minecraft platforms, which, Bedrock's going to be getting sometime next year, most likely. But yeah, we're not here to talk about that left-hand functionality, although maybe you'd enjoy that too. Instead, what we're here today to talk about, besides the cover-up, is, the tentpole topic on the Let's Play, what's been going on the past week, Toycat. And, I mean, the simple answer to that question is I've been still slightly sleep deprived from when I went to Australia a couple of weeks ago, but in like I feel like a good way. I finally got like a grip on the situation. But like, to give you an example, to keep things simple, to keep them easy, I don't know, like I woke up today and it was I woke up normal time, woke up, did some stuff, ate some breakfast, did some things I enjoyed, and then I went back to sleep and I woke up and it was dark. And it's like, that's not a normal people problem, but like that's the sort of realm I've been dealing with, and on the surface it just sounds like, wow, something's been going slightly wrong there. But there's something nice about, like, I think I've mentioned this before, when something is going bad but at least you're in control of it, it's very easy to let it kind of be that way. There's something, like when life is just like, if everything feels like it's happening arbitrarily and outside of your own control, it's like, this is really scary, right? This is a real problem you've got to be working on. But when something kind of bad or some kind of questionable happens, but at least it's somewhere it's like, well, I could fix this any moment, but I choose not to for whatever ridiculous reason we're going to imply today. There is something about that does feel way better. So yeah, I've been, I would say, like, I've been going through, like, some sleep issues as my worst thing, but as my best thing, to kind of counterbalance that, I feel like we've been having a lot of fun with the YouTube stuff, both in terms of the videos you've seen already, but also in the not-so-near future, or in the very near future, in the future of some variability of nearness. There's a lot of fun stuff happening, because even though I'm going to be gone for about a week or so. I'm going to America again. It's going to be a lot of fun. But even I'm going to be gone for just over a week, something like 9 days. I'm also going to be at the exact same time. I'm going to be, like having a lot of the cool things I've been working on for a while release, because one of the things, we changed the content of the channel entirely. This is almost like a throwback now in terms of one thing, but in terms of the rest of the channel, I'm sure you've noticed a lot of the stuff that gets made is of, I want to call it a high quality, but I hate when YouTubers try to call their own stuff high quality. So I've been making things that have been less terrible than before, or maybe it's the same amount of terrible. Maybe what you really think here is that I just need to get less bad, whichever way it is. But I've been making things slightly less terrible than they were before, and and one of the kind of side results of that, one of the kind of things in that, is that there's a lot more like effort that goes into them. So when I finish something, it's not ready to consume until like 3 separate people do 3 separate things towards it, which is like some post-production tasks. There's some get a thumbnail going. There's there's all sorts of different tasks that have to be done, and on the one level that's like really exhausting, but on another level it's I don't know, like it's cool to see all these things happen in the background, and it also means that there's while I'm gone somewhere, also really cool stuff can happen, and sometimes it means while I'm not gone, cool stuff isn't happening, which is a fun like counterintuitive thing of like, oh yeah, when I'm working the hardest, the results aren't the same way there, and when I'm when I finished on a big batch of really cool things, and like when in between big batches of big things being made, it's like, oh, that's when people appreciate them. The next round that I record, for instance, this is the tentpole thing, right? That's going to be a thing that it's going to be really appreciated, but I've got to get it started. Got to start like 2 new realms for it, because it's going to be a competitive thing. Oh wait, in fact, let me just oh no, I don't want to spoil it now. I want to I think the beauty of the experiment is that no one knows what's happening going into it, and then because I think any experiment, it's not going to be the same if people know what's going on. Kind of like, how we're covering up this this weird sheep prison former project thing that it's very weird on the inside. I think we actually should light up the inside, or we're going to have a bunch of mobs spawning. So let's do this right now. Let's try and make it pretty effectively lit so that no more mobs spawn, and we'll do it while zombies chase us, because why not, right? Also, walking around is just so uncomfortable. Every time I look at my left hand, it's just like, why is this a thing again? So yeah, while we light up the inside of this place, which it's actually kind of cool the way it looks so abandoned because it's covered up in stone. Like, there is something to be said about the beauty in all of this. Because I haven't seen it in so long. For me, this is like seeing some super old abandoned building in the real world. Which, fun fact, I used to have an abandoned building next to my house, and we used to go in all the time. And it was one of my favorite, like, exploration things. I think exploration is a feeling I really enjoy. You might guess that from the fact that I travel so much, which you might guess from the fact that I said I was in America something like 3 weeks after last going to Australia. But you know what? That's the world, right? So, yeah, we're going to put torches on each side of this door. I don't think there's actually any point in doing that, because the way torch light works is not intuitive to the real world. But yeah, sometimes things happen in counterintuitive ways, and one of my favorite examples of that is how the best way to hide something is not with the best security you can have. Security is more like a deterrent on the end, but the best way to hide something you really want hidden is for people not to even consider what it is, where it is, all those sorts of things. If you have like, the world's safest bank vault in, the world's safest bank vault that's widely known about, that like gets articles written about it, and all sorts of stupid people are willing to break the law to try and get it. Well, that's really, really insecure, because eventually someone might do it by a fluke, or someone who's actually, trained in that sort of thing is going to know where or what to start targeting. You're gonna inspire people to become thieves by telling them they're not. When you tell people like, oh, my thing is so secure, they're like, really, how secure is it? And then, that's a thing. You never mention that something you want to keep safe is kind of hidden away. And in the same way with information, it's kind of the same, I feel like. You never say, like, there's this grand secret I'm never going to tell you, because the first psychological response for most people when they hear, there's something I can't tell you, is, what is it? Or when you say to someone, don't look, do you know what their instinctive response is? Their instinctive response is to look immediately, because, people don't interpret a message and think of it as like, oh, this is the thing I'm going to do. It's like, oh, what's so important? I can't look at it. And yeah, I think that's the best example of it. Like, when you tell someone not to do something, when you say, don't think of a white elephant, you're thinking of a white elephant, probably, right? Because of how, it makes sense in like how our brains should be programmed, because, we are wild animals that, just sometimes play Minecraft and talk about, their feelings on the internet. But also, yeah, we have those same inherent biases, which are kind of funny in my opinion. And yeah, I think we've now pretty well lit up the inside of this place. Even that weird hole was already lit up, and it's mostly now just about the last few corners, because if we want to like ever have a mob spawn, we want to guarantee there's nothing spawning in here. So what we'll do is we'll go to sleep now, actually, and then we'll come back here, like we'll stand kind of nearby, and we'll see if anything spawns, and if so, that would imply we failed. And if nothing does spawn, it implies we succeeded. I'm going to also cover up some of the bigger gaps, because you can see looking at a block where the darkness is spawning, even, like, darkness does not mean bad, it just means potential bad. And let's hide all of that. You know, I've got enough torches. As you could probably work out from the hotbar at the start of the video, I have plenty of torches, because I've been working on a really stupid project for, again, a really silly video that will hopefully go out while I am gone over the next few days. I just picked up a trident that was on the ground that has Unbreaking on. I have no clue how it got there. Literally none. Okay, sure. Trident for Toy Cat. What a lovely little finding. So, yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to test the waters by just going to sleep. It's now daytime, which actually doesn't affect whether mobs spawn inside, but I think it makes it slightly more possible because there's fewer other places mobs can spawn, and there's like a limit to that, or at least there's restrictions on how fast it happens based on how many mobs there are. So if it's full daytime outside, if you're seeing a cow, and it should mean that in there are places mobs are more likely to spawn, or something along those lines. But anyway, yeah, I really think there's this fun thing where if you want to hide a piece of information, an easy way is for obscurity. There's even the thing of like, again, one of the things I hate is like, someone in my very close life for some long amount of my development period, that's a nice vague way to put it, was like a really, really good liar. Like sociopath levels of lying, right? And one of the things about that I kind of learned is like, how some of the techniques you can get past. Like, you might think that like, okay, so the way you can be dishonest is you do bad things, and then if someone asks you about them, you say, no, I did not do that. But again, you lying through, when you say something, you know, you raise the questions of like, is that really how that be? Or is that, you know, a little bit misleading or something like that? So instead, you know, the best way to hide something is to instead like, you know, if you've done something bad, you accuse someone else of doing something bad. This is something all sorts of relationships have issues with, because like, oh yeah, one partner cheats on the other, and then they get really insecure that like, oh, if I could do that and it's so easy, they must have done it with me, and they spend a ridiculous amount of time like suspicious of their partner cheating on them, and like, I think it's called gaslighting, when you deliberately hide things on yourself by like, yeah, launching an attack on someone else. And I think it's like really clever on the one level, also like terrifying that that's a thing that people do. But yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, now what we're going to do, so we've got this big kind of area. It's just on the map, it's a big square blob. If you look at it from over here, it just looks like nothing too much, right? But looking like nothing too much is a little bit suspicious, which is why we do a tiny bit of a makeover. My plan here is actually kind of simple as to what I want to do. I'm going to take a couple stacks of sand, a couple stacks of gravel. Maybe you see exactly where this is going, but also going to take a couple bits of yellow concrete powder itself. And yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of pixel art on the top, and then we'll take that also, and then we'll add some outlines and some extra building features, and it'll look like a building that exists just for me to have a cute thing on the map. That's the plan, at least. Let's see how much we can actually make in practice. So I want to have a bunch of yellow, and then I want to have a bunch... Oh god, we're making too much. Then I want to have a bunch of black. And then between those two things, we've now got ourselves a pretty decent amount of stuff that we can do something pretty with. So the obvious thing to me to do when it's like, you're going to make something that looks kind of good on a map that you can also appreciate while looking at it in person, to me, the fun thing that, you know, I've never done anything kind of like this in the world. Everything's kind of somewhat unique or Minecraft based. But again, we're trying to cover something up, so we'll do something we've never done before. We'll make a nice big yellow line, something like 9 blocks long. Well, actually, let's go for like 11. Then we'll have a block space. Then we'll have 11 blocks again. So just like this. And already the map is kind of looking kind of questionable, right? What are those 2 yellow lines all about? And then we slowly turn these yellow lines into triangles, and yeah, we make something kind of fun. It actually is going to look really cool, like seeing this be made on the map block by block. So, you know, actually, total recommendation right now is like, always have a map in your offhand when you're making big projects that are designed to be appreciated from above, because if you do it that way, things will look way better. Okay, so that is how it looks here. For some reason, we made a little bit of a mistake, and things aren't great over here, but we just have to do that. And look at that. Look at those yellow triangles just beautifully formed over there. Now, between the two yellow triangles, we have something along this line, like maybe a third triangle. And yeah, it really looks like we're like watching a game sequence unfold on the left hand. So here's something fun I can recommend this week. There are a few joys in Minecraft, quite like running out of yellow concrete, apparently. Oh, I was going to put some on the thing because over here, I've actually, just very recently, actually, again, the same Charge Creeper explosion, it blew up 2 of my yellow blocks, so I need to put some yellow concrete and concrete powder back. Let's go get some more of that, or rather, let's craft some more of that, so we can do precisely this. So the thing is, I actually have kept oh god, because of these reasons, this is where a bunch of my dandelions are. So we need to grab 8 dandelions, right? Because 8, yeah, that's what we need to grab. 8 of those dandelions. And then if we take these 2, or these, oh my god, what did I just achieve right there? Did we find a new bug? You can fly through stairs if you try hard enough. Interesting. But yeah, now what we do is we take these yellow dandelions, we craft them into yellow dyes, make some yellow concrete powder, and what's that? Have we now fixed our big mistake from earlier? It's almost like there was never a mistake at all. Except for the fact that there very clearly was. But if we ignore that fact, it's almost like there was no mistake here at all. Side note, one of the things I should totally do, because I need the stone anyway, and this area is like, especially over here, you can see how like, it's not quite perfect because of this mountain. Either I should start exploding this mountain, or I should just start mining into it, because even the blue blocks, like, they run out of space. It's this whole messy thing. So yeah, this is a thing I totally consider and we'll get back to. But for now, considering things is not enough. Instead, what we have to do... Oh, actually, wait, we need some... What are you doing watching this video without having smashed that like button, am I right? Okay, we'll be really careful about this so that I don't make them both into concrete powder. But just, there we go, nice and easy. Now we've fixed the yellows from before, and as long as there's no more creepers around, which there really should not be, we're not going to make the same mistake again. Also, I think I'm going to torch up a huge area. Again, if I'm doing a torch project anyway, maybe I should just torch up the entire world rather than just the one desert. That could be clever. That could be a smart use of resources that actually makes sense. Okay, so now to finally finish this fairly basic, nice little thing over here, we're going to have just the last few blocks. Probably making a whole stack for this was a bit overkill. Also, seems we've made some form of mistake on the calculations. Oh, we just missed a block over here. But just like that, we have a little Triforce. And oh, Ed Triforce is universally recognizable, right, from one of my favorite games, and no doubt one of your favorite games too. Don't know what it is? Well, that's your sign that you need to leave, good sir or sirette off the internet. But yeah, now we can give it a black outline, because... Again, everything looks better with a black outline in Minecraft, especially now we have black concrete, which is such a solid black block, right? And yeah, we'll go around the outsides. And if we have any remaining, which is a big question at this point, again, we do. Yeah, the cool thing about small builds, the cool thing about like covering things up, is you don't really need to think about them in advance. In fact, it's probably better if you don't think about the cover up in advance. It's better if you just kind of do it as you go, because that's how believable things go, right? The most believable events, most things that most people do in general, I would say, actually, are just things they came up with on the spot, which is not necessarily a bad thing, actually. Spontaneity, spontaneousness. I got there eventually. We found the word. It only took a little bit of doing. It's something a lot of people value, in fact. So yeah, now we got the inside done, just the tiniest bit. We place one there, and then it looks close enough to like a real proper build. And then we cover it in water. I'm curious if that changes the map at all, actually. So now there's water on this side. Does it look the same? Oh, not enough actually got covered in stuff. So if we covered there, just like really cover this thing in water. For some reason it doesn't want to be covered, but now if we do that, does it look exactly the same or not? You know, this is a reminder as to why you should always turn your concrete powder into concrete before you build of it. Or you're gonna run into issues like this. But yeah, I want to talk about at least a little bit while we're talking about like covering things up, which is, I guess, a form of dishonesty, you could say. A pretty blatant form of dishonesty, most people would say, but you don't need to agree with me, that's fine. But one of the things about it that I've always thought is weird is like, so many YouTubers get involved with so many scandals where basically they lie to their audience. I saw the one about the vegan girl recently who's actually been, eating meat because, like if you're not smart about veganism, it will kill you, or at least, make you horrifically sick, right? That's a thing. And it's like, you know, it seems just unnecessary. It just seems like, do you need to lie to the people that you know, make your thing possible? And that's why I've always been like, at least on some level, I've always tried to just not like. I'll even be honest about, for instance, the channel. The channel's hit 500 million views. It should actually, as I'm recording this video, it's on 498 million or something. By the time you watch this video, my YouTube channel, across all of the videos combined, should be on roughly 500 million views across it. That's a really cool milestone. And a lot of people might just say like, oh yeah, there you go, that's a milestone. We did it together, guys, except statistically, most of the people who did it aren't fans of me. Statistically, a lot of them saw one video, never watched another one. You individually probably have contributed more if you've watched, say, 5 Toy Cat videos, say 10. Maybe you're, you know, one of the cool people who have watched like 100 or 1,000, and like you're the people who make this actually work for me as a human being. But, you know, like, statistically, most of those views just came in from people who are like, oh, there's a video, it's recommended to me, I'll watch it. Actually, not my taste, won't watch anymore. But that's still... that still counts just as much. It's pretty easy to lie and to make an illusion of something being much bigger than it is. And for some reason, it's just the preferred method of most people. And yeah, I don't know. Like, my point here is like, lying shouldn't be your go-to default. On the internet, there are lots of benefits of it. But I've also wondered why there aren't many people who decide to do the opposite. And also, what just happened there? That was the weirdest block placement I've seen in quite some time. But I've always found it weird that like not enough people take advantage of like, hey, this is the most honest platform you can have, at least in theory. What if we used it? You know, get this. What if we used the platform which can be used for honesty and integrity? And you know, where we have an actual direct method of communication with the subscribers. For the first time in any like medium, you are the one in control of your audience. Or like, you're not in control of it, but you're the one who has contact with your audience, who can speak to the audience and can approve what you say to them, as opposed to some TV network. And it's like, well, actually, got a giant VPN sponsorship, and they want me to lie directly to my audience. You know, I'll do it. Cash money, am I right? All these sorts of weird examples are like, you know, for instance, if you run a vegan channel, you know, you don't have to be, you know, like, if you need to eat meat for medical conditions, why don't you just tell your audience that? Some of them might not understand. You know, for instance, a lot of channels play games that they despise, and it's like, you know, I've been honest, like, if I do hate Minecraft all of a sudden, you know, I'll tell you about it, and I'll be like, here's how I got back into it. I think that would even be a smart business move, right? Like, and yeah, I don't know, I guess my point here is that a lot of YouTubers lie for a lot of reasons, and a lot of people lie for a lot of reasons. And I've always thought, like, there's no really great necessary reasons to lie, unless your safety is at stake. And, you know, like, again, that's why if someone says, you know, like, hey, got any money, man, in a vaguely threatening voice, or even if it's not a threatening voice, it's nicer to be polite and to not risk your thing in that way. Or if, there's a lot of other weird examples of similar things. But yeah, by the way, this should now look like an X on the front, right? I was hoping it looked more like an X than it currently does. It, for some reason, oh god, we've made a horrible mistake on one side. But we're going to now make a few more layers of this. We're going to have to grab some more stone. And I want it to look like a perfect X. And then we're going to do something I think is clever, at least. Okay, we're going to make some spruce planks. We're going to use the spruce planks to make some spruce stairs, which are technically a partial block, so they won't show up on maps to the best of my knowledge. That might only be half slabs, but you know what? Let's make a bunch of spruce stairs and hope that that's correct anyway. Because hoping and praying... If those aren't valid techniques to deal with things, I don't know what is. We're going to use the last of the stone to actually finish this kind of X shape. I want it to look like a proper X. So you go past it and you're like, huh, that is some form of like X-Men headquarters or something weird like that. Guess Toy Cat really likes, you know, like, or X-Force, is that from The Boys? I'm not sure where these things are from, but like, it's got to look like it's just some really bad reference to something, and everyone's going to be like, huh, I wonder what that is, and you know, that should be anything on that level. But then we're going to have a second level of cover-up, beyond just like making an uglier interior, beyond just having a thing back here that you can look at and on map and be like, oh, Toy Cat clearly likes the Legends of Zelda franchise so much, he made a really ugly stone base just to make a thing. Well, you know, I wouldn't make it myself, but to each his own, I guess. That's the kind of thought process you want going on right here. Because there are some things that are just interesting to human minds, and one of those is complexity. One of those, that's why people love, on some level, people who, you know, like one of the things I've always questioned is like, why do people put up with people who are lying all the time? It's because they're usually more fun people, right? There are people in your life who you know you can't trust, but whom compel you to trust them anyway. And even if you don't eventually learn, like, hey, I'm not going to trust this person, they're not trustworthy. Even then, it can still be like, but what about in this particular situation? And then boom, all of a sudden, like, you're tricked and a bad thing happens. There's actually, you know, there's, I think I was talking about sociopaths earlier, but like, there are sociopaths and people of their kind of kind that kind of thrive on just this idea that, like, you know what, you can, eventually everyone's trust will be broken in you, but all you have to do is keep, you know, changing from social circumstance to social circumstance, and as long as you do that enough, then people won't find you. Also, yeah, I think I'm making a mistake right now because I placed the stone down there, but whatever, again, the wood doesn't show up on the map unless we place the stone beneath it, so we'll just place a stone and then remove the stone, I guess. Yeah, we'll remove all the stone and then... Oh, except the wood is showing up as well. My genius strategy has been thwarted, but it's only a small thing on the map. And yeah, so now what you do, here's the next level play, right? If you have something to hide, you hide it in plain sight. You invite people to go up and see the thing, and then when they do, and there's going to be a nice little viewing hole right here, all they'll find, oh, this is perfect. That lined up so well. When they go through, they'll just be like, oh, it's a trifle. This is a boring build, Toycat. What a bad build you made. And then all of a sudden, the thing I'm covering up is not on your mind. You're not thinking, but what's below the stone? You're just like, this is bad, and Toycat did a bad job at it. Because it's uninteresting. If it was perfectly flat, if these blocks weren't here, you'd look at that and you'd be like, this has got to be a cover-up job. You see enough of these random blocks everywhere, and you're just like, let's place a few more, actually. You see enough of these blocks and random kind of things, and you're just like, I guess Toycat's really bad at flattening surfaces. Maybe this was a mountain or something before that he flattened to make room for that. And that is exactly what I want from all of this. I just want to confuse people and to have them not question the real truth. And that is why you might think, this video is 20 minutes, Toycat. You want to go, I don't know how long it is now. I bet we went over 20 minutes. You went back to the old format, right? Ha 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 ha. You're doing it because you want to try that thing. No, what if I said that? What if I vaguely hinted at the beginning? And the real reason is because I'm traveling. I don't have enough time to make the hour-long Let's Play videos, so I'm making terrible upgrades or downgrades, you could even argue, to existing builds. What if that's the real thing happening here? And I don't know if it is for sure. All I know is that thank you very much for watching this episode of the Update Adventures Let's Play. If you liked it, you can like the video and let me know. You can share it if you really liked it. And as always with these Let's Plays, I do read all of the comments. I sometimes regret that, again, like, no offense. Okay, you know, actually, here's me being honest with you, calling you out, comment section. This is the one comment, like, again, YouTube comments suck as a whole, right? It's hard to find value in them. I try to read comments sometimes, but varies on the video, honestly. The Let's Play's always been, like, the one safe haven for comments. About, like, 3 weeks ago, they got kind of bad. So just, like, if you're a normal person who, for some reason, doesn't have an obsession with, I don't know, like low quality, that, you know, if you just want to leave a normal comment on a normal video that you know I will be able to read and maybe respond to, then do so in this comment section and restore my faith in humanity. Unless you don't want my faith in humanity restored, in which case leave, I don't know, a generic like first, second, third, you know, something awful like that, and then, you know, you can do the exact opposite if you want to. Because the wonderful thing about Minecraft is no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.